Welcome, Cinnamon Johnson, to my podcast, Random Spirits. Cinnamon Johnson is a psychic medium psychotherapist, correct?
Yes, licensed psychotherapist.
Licensed, sorry. Licensed psychotherapist. Thank you for reaching out and just um, being here. I'm excited to connect. I'm excited to vibe. Go on and introduce yourself, girl. Like, what's up? Who are you? What do you
Mhm.
do? Right?
Yes, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Yes, I am Cinnamon Johnson. I'm a psychic medium, licensed psychotherapist in California. And let's see, what else do I say? And I also have a program for spiritually curious women, which means that women that are, starting to kind of dive into tarot, spirituality,
Mm.
metaphysical, and maybe don't have like a full understanding of it, but they know that it's something that piques their interest. And they also happen to be people pleasers in their love life and want to overcome that.
Okay, so like you're assisting women that basically it's like at the beginning of their spiritual journey. It's like they're the beginning of their spiritual awakening,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Hmm.
And at the end of the day, like I'm just gonna call us out. I feel like we're all in a way like people pleasers.
Yeah. Yeah, it shows up a lot more than people think, like
No,
it shows
yeah.
up, especially it's easy to identify it in relationships, like in your love life. But it can also show up with how you are with money and
hmm
how you work. So it can show up in all kind of different areas of your life.
Can you give an example of how the people pleasing would show up in work?
Yes. So you might see a person that is type A.
hmm
They're very ambitious, perfectionist, and they work a lot, workaholics. And the reason
hmm
why they're working so much is because in their childhood and in their past, they've learned that the more they achieve, the more recognition they get, the more they're given the love and attention that they want.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh, that's
Hmm.
interesting. All right. Huh. Okay. Um, were you born and raised in California? Like, I am a Virgo. I want to know more about cinnamon. Tell me more.
Yeah.
How many siblings do you have? Like, what's going on, girl?
Yes. So yes, I'm born and raised in LA, South Central LA.
Okay.
And
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
like okay, all right. Are
Yes,
you
I'm
like
from
around the area that you were like that you were
yes, like
risen?
where I currently live. Where
Mm.
I'm living now is in West LA. And
Okay.
yeah, so I grew up in the early parts of my years, I grew up in like Baldwin Hills area.
Oh,
And
okay.
then from there, and I was living with my mom and dad, and then they got divorced like when I
Okay.
was around two, or they separated when I was
Mm-hmm.
around two.
Yeah.
And then my dad, me and my brother, I have a younger brother, I'm the oldest. It's
Okay.
out of my two siblings, but me and my brother have the same mom and dad. And
Mm-hmm.
we around, how old was I? I think I was like eight, around 8 years old. So my brother was seven. Then we went to live with my dad full time. And we moved to Compton. So I grew up in Compton and South Central
Mm.
and Baldwin Hills. And I live not too far from Baldwin Hills.
Wow. So like staying
Hmm.
around the area.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. All right. That's nice. So getting into like the your licensed psychotherapist, how did you get into that?
So originally, when I was younger, I wanted to be a doctor at one point. And then in high
What kind of
school,
doctor?
I don't know. I just wanted to be a doctor.
Just yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And when I was like in middle school, I wanted to be a doctor. And then at one point, my goal was to go to because I was going to school, middle school in Compton. And so my goal, the plan was for me to apply to King Drew Medical Magnet High School. And
Okay.
it's in Watts, but that high school, and then they also have the hospital there in Watts. But I wanted to
Hmm.
go to that high school because I wanted to be a doctor. I don't know what kind of doctor I wanted to be. I just wanted to be a doctor. But
She was just gonna
then,
be a doctor. I love that.
yes. So then I got into acting. My mom got me and my brother and sister into acting. And
Oh.
then I was like, oh no, I want to go to a school that has a performing arts magnet. So me and my brother ended up going to Van Nuys High School, which has a performing arts magnet, and we got bused
Wow.
from LA and Compton all the way to the Valley every day.
Oh my
So
God, that's far.
yeah, it is far, but it was a good experience though, because growing up in the hood, there's only like you really only experience two different races,
Hmm.
two different
Yes,
groups,
yes, yes.
Blacks
Hmm.
and Latinos. And you'll see Asian people, but that's typically like at like the liquor store or like um
Hmm.
7-Eleven or the nail salon or the swap
Yeah.
meet, like but
Yes.
you don't have like there were no other races at my
Yes. Hmm.
middle school and elementary school.
Hmm.
Um, so when I went to the Valley, it was like I was opened up to all different types of cultures, all different types of cultures. And I really appreciate that experience because in this day and age, especially like in LA, you're not gonna only be with one particular race, you're gonna
I know it's
yeah,
very diverse.
exactly. And when you're working, you're gonna be working with different backgrounds, people from different backgrounds
Yes,
and different
yes,
cultures.
yes.
So it's like, why not get that experience,
Hmm.
as a young person, so that you're
Hmm.
prepared for that. Because some
Yeah.
people, they go off into like they go to like school or university or go somewhere else, like maybe they join the military or something, and they're like
Yeah.
overseas, and it's a complete shock for them. They don't know how to integrate themselves into that
Hmm.
experience. So anyway, I loved my experience at my high school. It was amazing. I took uh theater, dance, film,
Yeah.
and all of
Hmm.
that. And then when I was in high school, I no longer wanted to be a doctor because I realized I wasn't really into like science and math.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I decided that I wanted to be a homicide detective. I was like into, yeah, and I'm still into
Oh
it
my
actually.
gosh. We have a lot in common. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah,
Did
so
you
I
ever take like
was
a forensics class in high school?
Yes, I took I'm trying to remember what was that class called. It was like intro to criminal justice or something like that. Yeah, I
Oh
took that
my
in high
God.
school. It was a
Wow.
college course. And yeah, and I loved it because the instructor was like a retired detective, and it was cool to hear like his stories and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to do that, right, at
Hmm.
in high school. I was like, okay, that's what I want to do.
Hmm.
And then, but I also was interested in psychology, um, because I have an uncle on my dad's side who has schizophrenia, and
Hmm.
he he got diagnosed when he was around 16.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
usually how it is for males. They tend to like develop schizophrenia or show signs of it in their teenage years, around
Hmm.
16, 17 years
Yeah.
old. And he basically he was like falling in line with that diagnosis. And so he was around 16, and I think I was probably like 9 years old, you know,
Yeah.
and so I saw him go from like this very clean cut,
Yeah.
nerdy, intelligent. He's
Mm-hmm.
still intelligent, but this
Yeah.
very like, you know, he was into basketball, he was clean, put
Mm-hmm.
together, and then he completely like changed. He ended up, you know, hygiene is one of the things that goes along with,
Yeah.
well, the lack of hygiene goes along with the symptoms of schizophrenia. And so that also piques my interest with
Mm.
psychology, because I'm like, you know what? That's interesting how he just went from like one person to a different, completely different.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I want to learn how to find a cure for that. Now, this day and age, I no longer
Yeah.
you know, want to
Yeah.
find a cure for schizophrenia. I'm into like
Mm-hmm.
other parts of psychology, but that's what kind of piqued my interest. And then in 10th grade, I don't know if it was like this when you were in 10th grade, because I think you went
Mm-hmm.
to school somewhere else, not in California, right?
No, I went to school here in California.
Oh, you did. Okay, so you may have read this book then. Do you remember The Catcher in the Rye? Do you remember that book?
No, no,
No? Okay. Well, at my school, we had to read that
uh-huh,
book, and it was 10th grade. I remember I was like 15, and it was about this guy. The main character's name is Holden Caulfield. Anyway,
uh-huh.
that was one of my favorite books in high school. So I read that book, and then he goes through like this journey, and it's like a day's journey in the book. He's really going through like a mental episode in the book, and then by the end of the book,
Oh,
he ends up getting like institutional, like he's in a like in a
what
asylum or like a.
were they giving you in 10th grade, girl? Oh, wow. No, that's wow.
And
Okay.
so then at the end of the book, he's like in this place, and he's like getting better because he's
No,
meeting with
yeah.
a psychoanalyst, and he's like meeting with his parents and his I think his younger brother. What happened is his sister had passed from like cancer or
Mm,
something. And she was like
mm-hmm.
his little sister. And that's what like got him to, you know, start tripping throughout the book. But anyway,
Wow.
when I read that book, I was like, psychoanalyst, what's that?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I started Google. Well, I don't know if we had Google back then. I think we had like Ask Jeeves. So
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
on Ask Jeeves, and I was like, what is a psychoanalyst? And then when I read what a psychoanalyst was, I was like, that's what I want to be. And that's what I when I went off to college, I majored in psychology and criminology, and here I am. That's
Wow.
what got me to this point of being a licensed therapist.
Oh my goodness. That is wow. Huh. Sorry. I'm like, there's like a lot of similarities. That's so crazy. You grew up in like Compton. It's funny because like my grandma lived in Compton, and we used to
Mm-hmm.
go when I was younger all the time. Like I didn't like basically like live there, but we like right after school would get in the car and like we'd go to my grandma's house. So that's interesting. You're still into like crime and true crime. Why didn't you take that route?
um, because you know what? When I did the started the process of it, there was something in my body that just was not feeling the whole vibe. Um,
Mm,
First off, in the interview, like the background interview, they're all in your business. And I'm just like a very private person, you know?
yes, I
Like
feel it. Yeah. Hmm.
they're all in your business. I remember when I first went to the background interview appointment, it's like you and like this lead background detective, and then it's like it's almost like a classroom. It's like desk and like other
Hmm.
applicants and stuff like
Yeah.
that who have made it to the point of, you know, being starting the background interview process. And I
Wow.
remember when I first came in, when I walked in the room, there's this guy standing at the front, and I'm one of those people where I still have an issue with time.
Yes, 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 yes.
Mind you, I wasn't late. I wasn't late, but I was right on time. But to
Mm.
him, you were late. If you weren't 15 minutes
Oh, okay,
early, you were
okay.
late. It was like the military. And he was like, I walked in the room, and people are sitting at their desk and stuff like that. And I walk in and this guy is just like yelling. He's like yelling, just like, like imagine how boot camp would be. That's how it was. And I was
Mm-mm.
like, I'm not feeling it. And then,
Wow.
so then I was like, because the classes I took in college, I took, because I majored in criminology. And so the classes I had to take, one of them was like corrections. And
Mhm.
so we learned about the prison system, the history of it and all that stuff. And we learned the difference between like probation and parole and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so then I was like, oh, so a probation officer is the same as law enforcement, like they're a law enforcement officer, but they're like a social worker. So they're helping these
Mhm.
people who have gotten out of the criminal or out of
Yes.
being incarcerated, or they're helping people who have part of their sentence is not to go to prison, but is to,
Yeah.
be on probation or whatever.
Mhm.
And so anyway, I was thinking, oh, I can do that and help people change their lives by providing resources. But ultimately, I decided to be a therapist because I took
No,
another
yeah.
class for my minor in psychology. And I was like, yeah, no, this feels much more in line with what I want to do. Yeah. So I kind of listened to my body.
Wow.
My body was like rigid towards the law enforcement thing. And then when it came to being like going into psychology and being a therapist, it really felt like my body felt much more warmer to that. Yeah. But I'm
It
still
was
into,
intuitive. I love it.
yeah, I'm still into
The
like
true crime.
the true crime stuff.
Do you
Um,
like watching stuff like as a psychic medium girl, like for real? Like
mhm,
because when I first started like getting like my spiritual awakening stuff like that, I was slowly like getting away from it. I feel like it's just because it's so like I'm clairvoyant, I see everything and I'm just
mhm,
it's too much. And when it comes like specifically children, I'm like,
mhm,
so
mhm,
I I stopped,
mhm.
Like, does that bother you? Do you put a block? Like what?
It doesn't bother me.
Hmm.
Um, and I've had other people say like my colleagues, like my therapist colleagues and
Yeah.
stuff. And then I have one colleague who is a therapist as well and a psychic medium. And they're always like, oh no, it's just so dark. I can't with that. I can't do it. But
Hmm.
honestly, I don't know. Maybe I was a detective in my past life. I don't know. But it
No,
doesn't
yeah, yeah. It
I'm
doesn't
not as
affect you.
yeah, it doesn't impact me. Um,
Hmm.
and I don't know if maybe that's from being a therapist too, because as
Yeah.
a therapist, there are things that I like cases that I've worked on where, it's like, dang, that's really tough. That's dark.
Yeah.
That's,
Hmm.
like people have been through some really
Yeah.
dark things.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I've learned to I guess put up a boundary where I protect myself, like I don't take that stuff in. Um,
Yeah.
the thing with the true crime, so what initially got me into psychic mediumship
Hmm.
is I love true crime. And I would watch these videos on YouTube where
Hmm.
there would be like mediums or like there's this one astrologer who looks at like crime charts and stuff like that. And
Oh, I love those.
yeah, and one of my favorite shows that I used to watch on Investigation Discovery, I still watch it, but whenever they come out with a new season, this one show called Disappeared. It always blows my mind how people just like disappear.
Vanish.
Yes. And so I was like, I want to help these families find their people. Like I want to help
Yeah.
solve these mysteries, help recover. Like if the person has
Mm-hmm.
passed on, I want to help them find their body
Mm-hmm.
so they can get closure, some type of
Mm-hmm.
closure. And that's what piques my interest into psychic mediumship. Because when I started watching these YouTube videos of these psychic mediums who were like,
Mm-hmm.
trying to like identify where this person is, this person
Yeah.
is missing. I was like, I want to do that. And so
Mm-hmm.
then, yeah. And so that's what made me take this training in psychic mediumship. And then from there, it's developed into more of, oh, I can help women who are experiencing issues with like people pleasing and codependency. I can help them overcome that if they get, by helping them get closer to themselves and helping them really
Mm-hmm.
like get to know themselves first. Um, so yeah.
Okay. All right. Huh. What drives you to continue like doing? And I know I said this like before the last time we spoke. It's just so amazing how you're bringing the spiritual sense and that spiritual side with the psychotherapist, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And merging it. I feel like really like we need like I don't know. I feel like we need more of that.
Hmm.
Maybe
How
that's
I'm
just
bridging
me.
the two.
Yes.
You know what's interesting? So earlier this week, I had did an interview for this summit, and
Hmm.
and the host was like, "Oh, I." She said the same thing, and she was like, she was thinking that um my my tip, because the summit was for self-care tips for ambitious women,
Yes.
and when I talked about the spirituality piece, it it didn't sound as deep. And I
Mm.
was I was telling her, I was like, that's what I got when I did my psychic mediumship training,
Yes.
and we learned the basics of psychic mediumship. Yeah, when it comes to mediumship, there is some deeper parts.
Yes.
So like when you learn how to be a psychic medium, then my mentor offers a second level, which is ancestral healing. So it gets a lot more deeper in that.
Ooh,
In that
girl.
yeah.
That's a whole nother yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. But
Mm.
the basics of it, to be a psychic medium, you have to
Yes.
know who you are
Yes.
first before like really communicating with people that have passed on, with
Yep.
spirits. And
Yep.
so one of the main things I talked about with self-care is about how like your part of that is your boundaries. How can you have
Period.
boundaries? You have to have
Period.
boundaries with people that have passed on. If you know and
100%.
and it's the same like in with people that have a body, you have to have boundaries with them as well.
Yes.
So
No,
it's
yeah,
interesting
100%.
because it seems like it's going to be like much deeper, but it's really real world stuff that I guess we try to ignore. It's like
Yeah.
no, that comes into the spirituality
Mhm.
piece too. But yeah. Anyway, I hope I answered your question. I feel like I
No, no,
went off
no,
on a
girl.
tangent.
It's cool, girl, because I've been doing the same thing. I've been doing the same thing. Um, do you offer like any services? Like, do you practice your mediumship or, psychic abilities um in like a reading? Like, do you have other services for that, or do you just combine the therapy, the psychotherapy and
So I was thinking about this yesterday. Um, I am going to start offering love, love and spirituality readings. Um, yeah, I'm gonna gotta get that up on my website. But I was thinking more about this because at first, when I first had the idea to create this program, I was
Yes.
thinking about helping women get what they want in all their relationships. And then I've been getting more like earlier before we started this call, we were talking about
Yeah.
tarot readings and like oracle card readings. So every day I pull like cards for myself.
Yeah.
And I also do a meditation, the sitting in the power meditation, which
Yes.
helps you deepen your psychic abilities and mediumship abilities.
Yes.
And during those meditations, like honestly, I've gotten out of that ego space when it comes to decision making. I've been 100%
Yes.
following intuition. And
You really
so,
need to. Yeah.
yeah. And so what I've been getting is forget about all relationships when it comes to what I am here to help people with. It's
Yeah.
focusing on their love relationships, their heart space. So anyway, that's all that to say. I am going to be offering love readings and spirituality because I feel like it's connected.
100%.
Spirituality, yeah, I look at spirituality as your relationship with yourself. And so to really get what you want in your life, you have to have a relationship with yourself.
Yeah. Do you like, I mean, in the readings and the stuff that I do, I often like it's interesting when people come to me and it's like they're seeking something that they don't have within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like you said, like it starts with you. Like
Mm-hmm.
how are you expecting to receive something that you don't even have? you
Yeah.
know, um,
Yeah, exactly.
within yourself. Yeah,
Exactly. Um,
yeah.
oh my goodness. Yes, that reminds me of a session I had earlier this week.
Hmm.
And with the client, and we were talking about their struggle with money.
Yeah.
And then I brought in love with that, because now the way I think of money, I
Hmm.
think of, I to bring astrology into it, I think of the second house. I think of Taurus, and then I think of Libra, the house of
Yes.
the seventh house, the house of partnerships. And that's
Yes.
ruled by Venus, it's ruled by the same
Yep.
goddess, the goddess
Hmm.
of love, Venus. So
The feminine, the feminine.
hmm and so then I mentioned that, and I was like, anyway, I mentioned what came up for me to that client is, you're struggling with money, because there's something that you're also struggling with when it comes to like loving yourself and the love that you received growing, or the lack of love you received growing up.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yep.
anyway, um, this
No,
is what I'm
yeah,
talking
it's
about.
no, I'm the same. It's like 100%. Like I just feel, um, it's like you need to be open to receive. It's embodying the feminine, the divine feminine, and being like open to it and not being like defensive and shit. I'm talking about myself, by the way.
No, but that's okay,
something
because you know what?
something that I'm learning, not
You
being
know,
defensive all the time.
you know what? The beauty about like being like a helper, a healer, a therapist, in any type of helping capacity. I had came to this conclusion a long time ago, but I don't say it to other therapists, because the thing about like in the therapy world, they always talk about like, oh, you can't self-disclose, or you can, but it has to be like a reason for it, like you
Hmm.
don't want to just take the whole focus off of your client. Like it has to be to
Yeah,
serve them, because it's not about you, it's about them.
yeah.
And so I remember realizing this a long time ago. I was like, being a therapist, some of the things I say to my clients, I like it helps me too, like it
Hmm.
helps like heal me, or it helps me look at things in my life. But if you say that, like if that was to come up like amongst other therapists, they'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, like maybe you should go to therapy. Maybe you should. And there's nothing wrong with like a therapist going to therapy.
Yeah.
Therapists should go to therapy.
No, no, yeah, we all need
But
everything. Like healers need healers, therapists need therapists, doctors need doctors, like
yes,
you
but
know?
it's like it's almost like a problem. And so one of my colleagues who we went to grad school together, he actually said it to me on the phone. He was like, you know, you can't, he was like, if you are, I don't remember exactly how he said it, but he said
Mm-hmm.
something along the lines of, you are, it's therapeutic. That's what he said. Therapy sessions for us is also therapeutic. And I told
Mm-hmm.
him, I said, you know what? I'm so happy you said that, because this has been coming up for me and I just never have said anything, because, you know, therapists
Mm-hmm.
can be a little judgmental when we're talking to each
Mm-hmm.
other. But me and him, we have the type of relationship where we can keep it real with one another. But yeah, he said that. And I was like, you're right. You're so right about that. So anyway, all that to say, what you just said and how you said you're talking to yourself, that is
Yeah.
that's I feel like that's how things should be.
No, yeah, like I mean, what I believe, I don't know, if you believe, I feel like everyone that we come across is a reflection of us, regardless of whether it's like a good reflection, a bad reflection. Like
Mm-hmm.
we meet people, we come across people like for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a lesson there, however you want to take it.
Yeah.
Um, did you grow up in a religious household?
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay.
I grew up Baptist Christian. My dad is
Okay.
a pastor now,
I
and
love that.
yeah, you know, it's cool.
I love that.
he's
Okay.
he's spiritual. Him and my stepmom are very spiritual, and I talk about, and I'm very spiritual too. So
Yeah.
the things that we talk about are very similar. Like, it's still, how do I say this? Like, they relate. It's just
Yes.
different, like, belief systems, I guess. Like,
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah. But the only thing, though, with growing up in a religious household is that it has been a barrier in the past for me when it comes to getting more into spirituality and into mediumship.
Mm. How did you overcome that?
How did I overcome it? I overcame it by following intuition.
Period. And I love that because I feel like, again, like a lot of people need to understand it's like another thing that shows up like for me, in my readings or whatever, it's like you're seeking answers, but the answer's already within you because I
Mm-hmm.
can sit here and tell you to do blah, 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 but it's like
Mm-hmm.
how you said when I had asked you about like why didn't you take the criminal justice route, and it's as simple as it didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It didn't feel right in my
Mm-hmm.
body, and that is the like perfect example of like your intuition.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, intuition, um, finding a community of people who
Hmm.
are like me, of people of mediums,
Yes.
from my trainings that I've done,
Hmm.
and also past life regression, like going back and looking at past lives, and that this is something
Hmm.
that I've struggled with throughout lifetimes. Um,
Mm.
a lot of mediums, psychic people, you
Yeah.
know, witches, we've all
Hmm.
struggled with this in past lives where we've been like outcasts and things like that. And there is a
Yeah.
reason why, you know, my soul chose to be a part of a family that is religious.
Hmm.
Um,
That's a
there's a
really
reason
nice
why.
perspective that you have.
Yeah.
I like that.
Hmm. Yeah. Now I look at things as I chose, you know,
Taking
the
accountability
experiences
for
I've
your
chosen.
soul.
Yeah. Even my traumas, I've like, there is a reason why, you know, my soul chose to experience these different traumas and hardships and things like that.
And
Yeah.
that's amazing. Thank you for saying that as a psychotherapist because people get triggered,
Hmm.
with like different level. I mean, different levels of, I know there's like a lot of fucked up shit in this world, you know,
Hmm.
but people get triggered. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. People do get triggered by that. And
Yeah. And it's like, oh, are you saying that, like very just like graphic, but like, oh, let's just pretend that there's like someone that had like a lot of like sexual abuse. Are you telling me that I chose this, And
Yeah.
just coming from that pain and that rage. And it's just like,
Yeah. And the thing is, like on an earthly perspective, I get what
yes,
they're saying, but in a
yes,
spiritual,
yes.
perspective, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason why. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
when I think of that, I think of locus of control, and like
Yes.
locus of control is, there's two different types. You can have this, are you having this perspective of things are happening to me, I have no control over it, or it's, I have more control over things that are happening to me. That's how manifestation,
Yes.
happens. Where you're
Yes.
where you understand, like, I have control over what I'm experiencing, or
How you handle things, your
yeah,
emotions.
yeah. And to be honest, I used to have a more external locus of control, where I was like, going back to the people pleasing piece, I would do all these things for uh, past boyfriends and partners, and even like family members and stuff. And then when they treat me like shit, dog me out, I would be like, man, I did X, Y, and Z for you, and you gonna do me this way, and
Mm-hmm.
then sitting there just like feeling sorry for myself, like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Victimhood.
Yes, victim
Mm-hmm.
mentality. And so once I to be honest, mediumship helped with this, because this is
Yeah.
something that we did, and this is like part of the work we did in there,
Mm-hmm.
was looking at like how you score on an external locus of control
Yeah.
versus internal. And then once I started paying more attention to and recognizing, even in everyday life, like, oh, when I didn't, my intuition told me to do X, Y, and Z. Like, for instance, I'll give an example. I had, where I live now, I have to move my car at 4 p.m., 4 to 6 p.m. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't move your car, you either get a ticket, but the sign does say tow away, so they could tow your car. So
Mm.
I moved my car. I moved my car around the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked at the signs, at the street signs, because I used to live in downtown LA. You got to look at the street signs.
Horrible. I'm sorry.
But here in West LA, I was looking at the street signs. I'm like, okay, I can park here, whatever. So I went back home, walked back home. And then the day 6 p.m. came around, 7 p.m. came around, 9 p.m. And then I was like, it's intuition told me, you should go back and move your car. You should move your car back in front of the building. And I was like, oh, I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like getting up. I'm laying down,
Yeah.
watching TV. I don't feel like doing it. And then I didn't do it. And then the next day, morning time came, and I was like, let me go and get my car. I want to go grab some
Mm-hmm.
breakfast. And my car has an app. Like, I can like
Mm-hmm.
pull up the app and look at my car. I like to do that just to check on it. And I
Mm-hmm.
looked, and I was like, what the hell? Why is my car in Inglewood?
No, girl. Oh no.
So, I did my little investigative work. I pulled up the address where my car was at. I put it in the Google Maps, and I saw it was at some tow place. I was like, what the hell? And so then I got the number, I called the place, and they're like, yeah, your car was parked in the construction zone, and you got your car towed at like 9 something in the morning. Anyway, all that
Mm-mm.
to say, part of that victim mentality did come a little bit back in, like, man, why did this happen? But then, because I've been working on myself, automatically it is, well, Cinnamon, intuition told you last night you should move
Yes.
your car, and you ignored it. So this is what happened.
Mm.
That's why that tower moment happened.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that's a, you know, a very everyday example of how internal locus of control versus external. When I
Mm-hmm.
looked at the external, like, or actually the internal, when I looked at the internal, what I had control over, I took it as a learning lesson of, you know what, don't listen to that intuition. Stop
Mm-hmm.
ignoring it. Yeah, but anyway, that's a long
No,
drawn
I
out
love
example.
that. No, but it's like a perfect example, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, it's amazing how much like work that we've done on ourselves and we continue to do, because I feel like there's not like a single person on this earth that is fully healed.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we like
Right.
become like Jesus and ascend and choose not to come back. But
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I wanna go back to
Mhm.
the thing I mentioned about the traumas and stuff, because I do feel like
Yeah.
some
Mhm.
people might get triggered. But what I was
Ooh.
gonna say, no, because some people do, you know, some
No,
people do.
yes.
And so I wanted to say that with looking at, I'll just talk about my own experience.
Yes.
When
Yeah.
I look back on the trauma that I experienced, the
Mhm.
traumas that I've experienced um, from childhood, now I look at it as part of the reason why I experienced that in
Mhm.
this lifetime is because there is something that my soul wanted me to work on around forgiveness.
Period.
Forgiveness of the other person and forgiveness of myself. I didn't really have an issue of forgiveness of the other people. Like that came a little bit more quicker
Mhm.
and natural for me.
Yeah.
But the issue I had was forgiveness of myself, which I think contributed to the victim mentality in the past and the people pleasing. So it's
Mhm.
like I didn't forgive myself. And that's why I subconsciously am reenacting these patterns of behavior in relationships where people aren't treating me kindly, you know, or I'm giving, and I'm not getting back what I
Mhm.
really deserve because I don't feel like I deserve that.
Mhm.
And I think that's all about like forgiveness, at least for me. So I just wanted to give that example so that
No, yeah.
listeners can look back on their experience and think about what what did this experience, this traumatic experience, what was the universe or what was my soul
Mhm.
wanting me to get out of this?
Yeah, like shifting the perspective and stuff. Yeah, I feel like it's like a whole like it's a lot of deep stuff where like something that I've had issues with and I'm still dealing with. I feel like it's the
Mm-hmm.
grieving part, grieving old parts of myself. That one right
Mm-hmm.
there, because your girl here keeps it moving. Okay, I got three
Mm-hmm.
kids, but yeah, it's like to forgive and then just like to grieve and let go and not go back to um the fucking people pleasing shit that I used to do and see that I was projecting.
Yeah,
So
grieving is hard.
it really is, dude. And I know grief
Mm-hmm.
comes in different ways. Vulnerable moment. I go through like times where it's like it's fucking anxiety. And
Mm-hmm.
I like literally have like full blown like anxiety attacks and I'm like I can't breathe. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? But
Mm-hmm.
it's shortened, but it's like, you know, I have
Mm-hmm.
this tendency to I don't even know what you call it. I grew up in a home where um we didn't talk about emotions and shit. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like now like older I'm learning to regulate my emotions, but I feel like a lot of things that like have been suppressed or like, you know, I don't know if I can call that desensitized, but it's like things catch up. And when things catch up, I'm like, oh fuck. Like wherever I'm at, I'm like, okay, safe space, great, attack.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy. So crazy. What is the most challenging like thing about what you do with the psychotherapy and the psychic mediumship?
Um, the psychotherapy, I can talk about all kind of, no, I'm kidding. But with psychotherapy, what is the most challenging? Oh my god, yes, I can talk about a lot of stuff.
No,
I'm trying
yeah.
to figure out what would be the best thing for me to say. But yeah, for me, and the reason why why I'm working more with the spirituality piece is
Mhm.
because with psychotherapy, I I tend to get not I tend to because I think now my manifestation is a bit different, and like what I'm attracting is different because my mindset is different. But before, I would get people that were like in this deep despair, and
Mm.
um deep despair, but not wanting to like really work on the issue, you know. uh
Avoidant, like being avoidant.
yeah, avoidant, or just, I don't know, like you kind of get some clients that come to therapy that they just want to talk about the problem or complain but not really do the work. And
Fuck.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm noticing with where I'm at now, I want, and how else can I say this? Not only do they not want to do the work, but resistance. That's the word I'm looking for. Very resistant and rigid.
Mm.
And now where I'm at in my work is I attract people that, and I like to work with those that are more flexible. Maybe they have a little bit of rigidity, which is why they're
Hmm.
coming to me,
Yeah.
but they're not so rigid to the point where they can't, you know, try something different, or, where they're like not so afraid of change to the point where they're not even willing to try it. So,
That's amazing. That says a lot. Going back to when I say we're like a reflection of everyone that we meet and like all our clients
mhm.
and stuff. That's growth right there. Yeah, like you manifested that shit. You did that.
Yeah. So that's what I would say is like the most difficult,
Hmm.
is when I get someone who, like,
Hmm.
I'm showing up as like the person that's helping
Yeah.
them, whether that's their, as their therapist, and then they are just blocking it. They're like, no, no, I don't want, like, no, they're stiff arming everything. Like, no, I don't want that. That's the most difficult. In therapy, we call that working harder than your client, and you can't work harder than your client. Yeah. And then as a psychic medium, the challenges, I would say, especially coming from like a religious background, is
Hmm.
people thinking that, like, I don't know. I was gonna say a devil worshiper or something. Like
Mm.
people not really understanding what psychic mediumship is and being rigid again in their own beliefs.
Hmm.
Um, but really, psychic mediumship, from what my studies have taught me, it's really scientific. It's quantum physics, and
100%.
and
Yeah.
people think that like you're believing in this make believe thing and not even trying to really understand. You know. So that's what I find most challenging about being a psychic medium, or people thinking that you're gonna like call in these spirits that are like dark entities and stuff like that. And
That one kind of cracks me up. Or like, yeah, people that are just like they're like skeptics or whatever. Um,
mhm.
Going back to the rigid with the like psychotherapy, what like what is enough to where like have you ever been in a position where it's like the person, the client, like comes, but it's like this lingering like um I'm trying to find a way of like putting it without sounding like a bitch, but like they just like complain about their life, and they I mean, you're creating a safe space, right? Where like you
Hmm.
hear them out and you know you do your thing, but it's like they don't want to change. They like, have you ever had anything like that? And like, what did you do? Like, did you like cut it off? I hope that's making sense. Like
Yeah.
where someone just genuinely does not want to, and they just want to pay you to
Hmm.
complain for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Um, yes, I have ran into that before. And what
Mm,
tends to happen is thinking times I've cut it off. I have cut some, I have, referred some clients
yeah,
out. What tends to happen is they fall off.
yeah.
And I guess that's the universe helping me. They're like, oh, they blame me. Like, you're not helping me. This isn't
Mm,
working. I've never
yeah.
had a therapist that did X, Y, and Z. And what's challenging, the challenging part really is taking on that other person's stuff.
Hmm.
Now, because I know who I am, and I recognize that, and that's part of like the work as a therapist too, recognizing that what's playing out in the therapy room is really them, is really projections. Like that's part of the process,
Period.
you know?
Yep.
And
Yep.
part of the process is the client's going to throw stuff at you. And it's
Hmm.
not necessarily you, but it's just their
Hmm.
response to this change,
Yes.
this change trying to happen. And so before I had got licensed, when I was still working on my
Yeah.
hours, I would be like an anxious mess. Like it would be all in my body. I'd be holding that tension. And so,
Mm.
yeah, I remember being not physically beat up, but I call it like I was beat up in a section, but more
No,
like
yeah,
energetically beat up.
definitely. Yeah, because like you're an empath before knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where I
Wow.
left the session, my body was feeling all like beat up, hurt,
Oh,
sore. And I had my clinical supervisor who was really, really good. Um, I told her, we were in my supervision, I was telling her about the session. And it was a family session. So it wasn't just one person. It was like,
yeah.
it was coming from both
Mm-hmm.
ways.
A
Like,
bunch. Yeah.
I was getting
Mm-hmm.
tag teams in there. and
Mm-mm.
and I mentioned it to her, and then she was like, well, and I loved her feedback because I did this exact thing. Um, she was like, well, you should bring that up. You should point that out, how you were
Mm-hmm.
feeling physically, and how this other family member is probably feeling that same way. And
Mm.
so I was like, okay. So I brought it up, and it completely like changed. It shifted everything where, they were able,
Mm.
the other family members were able to see like, oh wow, this is probably how, my kid is feeling
Yeah.
when I do X, Y, and Z. Um, but yeah, anyway, that's the challenging piece is I'm trying to bring it all back into full circle. The challenging
Yeah.
piece is when things are being projected onto you, and instead of, as a therapist, running away from it, because in regular
Mm-hmm.
life, this person is probably used to people running away from those
Mm-hmm.
projections and those behaviors. But in therapy, it's supposed to be a different experience, a corrective
Yeah.
experience. So the challenging piece that I've worked on as a therapist is having the balls to bring it up, throw it back,
Mm.
bring it up and just be like, look, this is what I'm experiencing. I wonder if, this is what your sister or your partner experiences with you when X, Y, and Z happens. It's like putting that mirror up and
No, yeah,
reflecting it
yeah,
back
yeah,
to
yeah,
them.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that answered your question.
No, no, that did like way more than like anything. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
Okay. Have you ever dealt with like how have you dealt with just like have you dealt with people that are just like you're doing the devil's work? You can't connect with deceased loved ones, like they're supposed to like be dead and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gotten that from some family members, like a cousin of mine told
Same,
me that. And I was like,
same.
what? Why would you not want to talk to your grandpa? Like,
Hmm.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, I've gotten that. And so what I do is I just don't even talk to them about it anymore.
You just,
You know? Yeah, I'm just like, I know that, see, the other thing about this work and
hmm
the overcoming people pleasing,
yeah,
you notice that those relationships are not for you. And that's what I noticed. Those relationships, not at this point in my life. And I'm fine with that. I went through, I guess, that grieving process of not being okay with it.
yeah,
But at this point in my life, I'm like, no, I'm okay with that because
yeah,
I'm a very open person. I mean, and I think part of that is me being a therapist. You have to be open and flexible and,
yeah,
accepting of others. You don't you push your biases to the side, and because I do that in my work, that's how I am like in my regular life.
yes.
And if people, including family members, if they don't fall in line with that, like if they can't give that to me, then they're not for me.
Hmm.
So
So do you
yeah.
like cut them off? Like, is it just like, this is just something I'm not gonna talk to you about? Or how does that look?
Yeah, no, I don't cut them off. Actually, I don't cut anyone off. I just, we just don't, I
Hmm.
just don't reach out as it's not even about me not reaching out as much. I guess I don't really think about them. Like I have other
No, yeah,
things
yeah,
going
yeah.
on that
Yeah.
come up for me.
Hmm.
And yeah, like I'm trying to think about, like, I have friends now who have like similar beliefs as me. And so if
Yeah.
I'm like on Instagram or something or on YouTube and I see something, then I'll send it to them. That's how I keep contact with people. It's like, oh, I
Mm.
saw this thing. This is funny. Oh, you're an Aquarius. I just watched
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Astro twins. They did a reel about Aquarius, and then I'll send that to like my Aquarius friend or whatever. But like
Hmm.
family members and friends who are not into that kind of stuff, then I just won't reach out to them as much, because if we don't have the same interest, then we're probably not going to be talking like that.
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah. So it's not even about me like just cutting them off. It's more like they just kind of fall
No,
to the
yeah.
wayside. Like those
Hmm.
past clients I talked about, they just kind of fall to the wayside. Yeah.
It happens.
Hmm.
Um, do you have any advice on anyone wanting to merge like something like with spirituality? Or maybe it's like therapy, psychotherapist, and
Hmm.
spirituality.
Merging it. When you say that, what do you mean? Like merging?
Like
Uh-huh, go ahead.
just having um like merging it and bringing in the spiritual aspect into the work that they do.
The work that they do. So like if they do, like it could be anything. Like if
Hmm.
they're okay.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Merging spirituality. Well, I think of spirituality as your relationship with yourself.
Hmm.
So if a person looks at it as, I am strengthening my relationship with myself, then I think that's the way to look at it, really.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, it sounds kind of practical, I guess, or maybe
Yeah.
like not that deep, but
It's
yeah.
like that.
And yeah, and it starts with like, we talk like how I was talking about the forgiveness piece,
Hmm.
working on like how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself,
Yes.
that kind of, those practices. So like if
Hmm.
work with work, because I've been there before with burnout and stuff. If you're feeling
Yeah.
burnt out, well, what's going on in your mind that contributes to the way you're looking at your work, or looking at how you are going to be more productive and things like that, you know?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. I hope I answered your question.
No, yeah. You absolutely did. What's your favorite? This is the last question. What is your favorite thing about what you do?
My favorite thing is about helping people feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a Cancer sun.
Love it.
I love to like help people nurture themselves, you know? I love like
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about this yesterday because I'm doing this program, and I was just telling the creator of the program, I was
Yeah.
like, you are amazing. Like, you are helping me with my journey of bringing
Mm-hmm.
light and love to other people, to other women.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I do well, and I love that. Like, I feel like I build people up, and my clients
Yeah.
and stuff too. Like, I help build them up and help them find their power and empower them to do the things
Yeah.
that they're afraid of doing or that they've been struggling to do. So yeah, that's my favorite thing. I love when when I can just feel the shifts in like clients that I work with, and how they go from like being so depressed or being so anxious or setting boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or talking to themselves so negatively. I love how when I work with them, they go from that to
Mm-hmm.
being like self actualized. If we look at that
Mm-hmm.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like they've moved up, you know, in the
Yeah.
pyramid. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I love about what I do. And I mean,
That's so exciting.
as a therapist and as like a coach, and then as a medium, I love when I with the mediumship, I love when I help people connect to their relatives. And to be honest, I was thinking about this the other day. A lot of times I'll get people that are like from older generations, like the spirits from older
Mm-hmm.
generations,
Yeah.
or I'll get like ancestors. And um, I love that too, because it's helping bring some perspective for that person and some direction in their life. So yeah, that's the mediumship part. And then like the psychic reading um, part is I love, you know, bringing guidance to people, like helping them. And it's not even bringing guidance, because really what I'm reading is their energy.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I just love like how maybe they're having trouble identifying what they should be doing or like what's going to serve them well. And I love being able to just like verbally tell them that, like give them that confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, love that. Um, can you give us a breakdown on the program that you have? Like how many weeks is it? Like,
Hmm.
what is it? Like a layout,
Yeah.
right?
So it's a 12-week program,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a group program, because
Ooh,
what I've
okay.
learned, when you're overcoming people pleasing, you're gonna lose people, and it's gonna
Yes,
feel lonely.
it
And
is lonely.
so
Yeah.
my thing is I am there to help support and guide you in that journey, but you
Mm-hmm.
also have a community of women who are also going through that. So like if you're struggling with if you end up breaking up with your lover,
Yeah.
you know, and you're feeling like anxious, like you can feel it in your body, you're talking to them on the phone or you're
Mm-hmm.
just sending that text, and now you feel like, oh my goodness, what did I just do? You can hop into the community and share that, and we're all there to support you, you know, help build you up, help empower you,
Mm-hmm.
help give you like some positive affirmations.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's a 12-week program. The first part of it is it kind of follows the stages of therapy. The first part of it
Okay.
is awareness, understanding what people pleasing is, because you know we'll go through life, you know, however old you are, you'll go through like 20 years, 30 years, 15 years, however long,
Yeah.
and not realize you know
Mm-hmm.
that there's a problem. there's
Yeah.
something that you want to change, but you're not quite sure what it is. So the first part of the program focuses on awareness, me teaching you and helping you understand what you're doing is people pleasing. And then how to change that. Part of how to change that is the second phase, working on regulating your nervous system, because a lot of times people pleasers struggle with anxiety and
Yeah.
anxious attachment, which is
Mm-hmm.
keeping us, it's fear.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have this
Yeah.
fear, then you're going to stay in this thing. And
Yeah.
so I guide you through learning how to regulate your nervous system so that you can move into the next phase, which
Yes.
is working on your mindset. Now we can work on your
Mm-hmm.
mindset, change those limiting beliefs that are also keeping you
Mm-hmm.
stuck. And then from there, we can start taking more action. The last stage is change. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Okay. No. Yeah, yeah. So it's an online community.
Yes, an online community. It's a course, like I'm teaching, and then
Mm-hmm.
you are doing the thing, and you have the
Yes.
community and me to help support you while you're making these changes in your life. Um, yeah, and we meet every week for
Mm-hmm.
the program,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so it's very
In
high
a
touch. You have a lot of access to me.
in like a group with the so like is it like a group of women that is on Zoom or like Google
Hmm.
Meets?
Yes, on
Okay.
Zoom. Hmm.
Okay. That's nice. No, I love that you made that program and that there's the the group because like you said, like it does get lonely once break it off with like whoever,
Yeah.
and whatever reflects that starts trickling down and you're just like,
Yeah. And even if you're not actively making the changes, what I've noticed is when you start making changes in yourself
yep.
energetically, people people
Mm-hmm.
are people are going to respond to that, and and so that's why the community and myself are there to help with that, you know. Because sometimes people,
Mm-hmm.
they just react to just you existing. I've had that experience
Right?
before. I'm not doing
Mm-hmm.
anything to you. I'm just living in my,
You're just being you.
yes, working on myself, working on healing. And yeah, I've seen it where I've had friends who are just like just reacting to me. And I'm like, I didn't do anything to you. But what it is they're reacting to the change that they see in you. It's triggering something for them.
No, yeah,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a really like fun program. Where do you have a website um for
Yes.
the services and stuff?
Yes. So you can find me at www.cinnamonjohnson.com. And then I'm also on Instagram at Cinnamon R, as in Renee,
Hmm.
because my middle name is Renee, Cinnamon R
Okay.
Johnson. And and then I have my free online community, and that is on Facebook. And I also have one on
Okay.
Mighty Networks. So I have two free online communities. I'm playing around with both of them to see which one people,
Yes.
like more. But you can access the program, you can access the Facebook group or the online community on
Yes.
my Instagram and my website.
What does the online community provide?
It provides, so everything that I have on Instagram, like every week I write like a
Hmm.
blog post about
Hmm.
different things. Like I just did a blog post, I just published one about how to find happiness and being alone. And
Hmm.
on
Which is
Instagram,
so important.
yes.
Hmm.
So on Instagram, I've been posting about that. And in the online, in the online community, the free one,
Hmm.
I'm posting that content, asking questions, and it's just a free online community to get a little taste of what the paid community would be like, the program would be like.
Okay.
So Yeah.
Okay, that sounds nice. Um, we're getting into the card pulls now. I'm trying to
Okay.
tap in to
So are you going to ask a question?
I'm just gonna pull.
Okay.
I'm just literally, it's like general, a general. Are you okay with
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, sure.
If you have a question, you can, but I can just,
I do have a question.
uh-huh.
Um, since we're talking about love and
Yeah,
relationships, you can
yeah.
pull a card about love and relationships for me.
That's funny because I had pulled something and I put it back. Okay.
What did you pull?
It was isolation.
Oh,
Hold
for me to
on.
isolate?
Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay. I want to pull from here too. Sorry. I'm like, before I used to pull the card, but
Mhm.
like before I did like the episode, and now it's just like um I like it. I like to do it raw. I like to do it like right then and there.
Oh, okay.
I think I want to find that yeah. Okay. I feel like this is really like inner child stuff, I feel. Like
Hmm.
whew, here we go. Cynthia's gonna go psychic mode. Cynthia's gonna I want to pull one more. That's literally, and then I want to pull the other one that I got. Hold on, girl, hold on, because I'm
Okay.
like I've seen the isolation. Bear with me. I love this deck. This is the deck I told you that I've just been like I've been using this every day.
Hmm. Yeah, the starseed one. I like it too.
Yes, and I have a like a galactic guide.
Hmm.
And I connect to him like every single day, and I talk to him
Hmm.
every single day. This one. Okay. All right. So, mm, how can I put this? um, you're a therapist, so obviously you have and are probably doing like inner child healing stuff. It's so
Hmm.
funny and so interesting because oh my gosh, as like we're talking and stuff, I had a lot of times where I just wanted to cry,
Mm.
right? I don't
Hmm.
necessarily know what that is, but I feel like now that I've pulled these cards and stuff and like tapping into the energy, I'm seeing this um it's a child. I'm seeing it's making me wonder if this is your inner child. And it's like spirit is showing me like expression and just like being expressive, but this expressive part was like, I don't know if it was like blocked, if it was like, no, stop, or like
Hmm.
literally, I'm seeing like a block. And it's interesting because we have this isolation, this is physical connection and community, right?
Hmm.
And it's funny because, I'm seeing where it's, what is this? It's like I'm seeing you with people, with women, and but like the what you're doing with the what was the name of your
The program,
mhm,
Inner Glow Growth. Hmm.
inner glow growth. I love that. I'm seeing this inner glow growth in person. I don't know if it's something that you've been like thinking about, I don't know, but I'm seeing like you in person with like these women, and I don't know like why I'm getting like hands and I'm getting like touch. What
Mhm.
is that?
Uh, like hands and touch, like in regards to
Mm-hmm.
like the Claire's or
Relationships.
oh relationships. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm getting this like I don't know if this is like a need, but like literally I'm getting this like, is this a need? I don't know if there's trauma behind it or what, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have the child of the cosmos, and this is the intelligence of the universe lies within you. And I feel like there's this I don't know if this is a suppressed part. There's something there, and it's funny because that something I'm seeing like creativity. I'm seeing like
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally seeing colors. I'm seeing,
Mm-hmm.
oh, fuck, how can I put, I don't know if you do art. I don't know if you're into art or what, but I'm literally seeing colors and like this little girl that has like, is ready to like paint. There's like this
Mm-hmm.
canvas and we're about to just like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're just going to put it
Mm-hmm.
on there, is what I'm seeing. And then we have like this magic. I feel like there's this magic. Something's brewing within you, Cinnamon. Something is brewing within you. And like I can't really like put my finger on it, but I have it has to do, I feel, with um your program and like
Yeah,
doing something physical, girl. Something
yeah.
physical.
You know what comes up for me
Uh-huh.
is the inner child stuff. What
Mm-hmm.
I've been getting is that uh, going back to family, you know, being
Mm-hmm.
religious on my dad's side,
Yeah.
uh, they don't. Some family members know, like my grandma. I actually
Yeah.
signed my grandma up for. Well, maybe you know what? I won't put her business out there, but anyway. But I have some family members and people that go to my family's church because it's a
Yes.
my great
Yes.
grandfather's church that don't know about my psychic mediumship. And I'm at this point where I'm coming out like this song, I'm
Yes.
coming out, keeps playing in my mind.
I love that.
You know, I'm coming out the closet as a medium. But anyway,
Yes.
um,
Period.
and what I've been getting is that there are going to be blockages. People aren't going to like that. And to be honest, I don't care. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what you
Mm-hmm.
might be connecting with is that that's what's going to be happening for me. So I don't know. What do
Mm.
you think about that? Does that sound like, does that resonate?
Yeah, I feel like it resonates. I feel like it resonates. I just also what is this? And the last card that I pulled is like inner authority, which you do. You listen to your intuition. All paths lead to home. This is turning your gaze within. And I don't know if you ever um just sit with your guide, sit with God or whatever, and just like ask, because I feel like there are going to be some family members. It's weird. I feel like they're like, you know how you said normally you just like leave it be. It's like there's interest in it, but
Mm-hmm.
something's like sparking on that side with like, family and stuff where like there's interest, and it's like, but I don't know your family or like the vibes, but it's like they're gonna it's gonna be shown or like spoken in a way where like you'll be able to read like you're interested, but you just don't want to tell me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is like interesting because then I feel like that, like now I'm seeing like the physical or like that, like, I don't know, does this mean that like, um, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, but I just keep seeing like physical, whether it's like, we're gonna be like hugging and reuniting or like whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
huge on like the family and intimate relationships just like changing, which is interesting because it's like, um, there are people that
Mhm.
do go to church and they do have an open mind. I don't know who it is in your family, but someone is going to have that open mind where they're just going to be like,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I think I have some inklings.
yeah,
I don't know if this should be offline, but I
yeah,
also wonder if the physical and then the relationships and stuff like that,
yeah,
because I mentioned love, and there is something going on in my love life, and
yeah.
there has been isolation, and I wonder if that's part
We
of
could
it
do that
too.
offline.
Yeah.
We could do that offline. I think intuitively, I'm getting Cynthia take this offline. I don't know what you're feeling, but I feel like
Okay.
Cynthia take it offline. But yeah, um, that was nice. That was nice. That was a nice little, I hope that that resonated and it made sense. And hopefully to anyone that's like listening or whatever, I feel like a generalized like collective message that I'm getting is that like, whatever it is that, you're doing, whether it's like spirituality and like your family is not too like, this is a message for me, shit. Your family is not like too fond of or whatever. I don't know. It's just like keep doing what you're doing. Right.
Mhm.
And I just feel a message for me too, where it's like in a collective sense, in a general sense, like where there are like you have the older people and like specific family members that just like are so strong in like their beliefs and their perspective, but then it's like
Mhm.
the curiosity in them, the inner child in them, or like whatever,
Mhm.
comes out. I hope I'm making sense in like the way of like that curiosity where it's like, oh, so what is a psychic medium? you
Yeah.
know like
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
Like that. So we're going to continue what we're doing and not let family change our trajectory in
Yeah.
life. But
Mhm.
but thank you again,
Thank you,
Cinnamon,
Cynthia.
for having me here. I'm gonna leave all your information and like the links to you in the show notes.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me. I really enjoyed
Yes.
this.
Yes. And then after this, I will yeah, I'll send you another link. Or
Okay.
I can just yeah. All right, I'm gonna end it. Still stay. I'm gonna end it. And I hope anyone and everyone that's watching this has a good day.
Okay.
Bye.